Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing at Daytona, boys and girls. Welcome into episode 21 of the Tuesday Track Talk featuring your Three Stones pit crew. I am your gas man, Cam.
I'm your Jack man, Kellen.
I'm your tire changer, Cam.
And this week, we got a busy week. Get the Super Bowl out of here, get those headlines out of here. Now we get to the real season. It's racing season, and we are going to the Daytona 500. So we're going to be talking all things Daytona this week. And then we're also going to be talking some expectations coming into the 2024 season. Different storylines, driver changes, new bodies being debuted. So we're going to get into a lot of things NASCAR in this episode, rightfully so. So how we doing, boys?
Good. Good. Rain is taking away high limit night one, which Eastbay looked solid, but they're probably gonna lose the track, so
It's also hurting as we're recording here on Monday. It's also hurting in Volusia for the USAC sprint cars as well.
so high limit's got the work cut off for my night one.
That is the unfortunate part of racing. Nobody can beat Mother Nature.
Yep.
So, a little disappointed you guys didn't come in with a little bit more energy there. On that intro, you guys are like, oh.
Dude, I am running on not fumes, but I'm definitely not 8 cylinders. Between the game last night and then traveling this morning and hitting a 6 a.m. flight and just the day of work and yeah.
But he's here for the people.
Exactly. I am here for what really matters. Fees a kick in the ass, but I'm here when it counts.
Yeah. And I think as sad as it is, I really enjoy football. Super Bowl wrapped up last night. Obviously, Chiefs get the win. Kind of an interesting game, but it's just perfect timing. Football wraps up, and as football's wrapping up, racing is ramping up. So feels like we're starting to get back into the swing of things here on the dirt scene, asphalt. I mean, we do this I feel like every episode, a shameless plug, but man, if you want to watch racing and you don't think $175 for Flow is worth it, would have been worth it in the last week. And between High Limit, World Series of Asphalt, and ASA going,
Lucas Oil.
get on the train because it's leaving. So, yeah. You guys ain't got anything else? You ready to jump right into this?
Yeah, we got a good amount of stuff to cover, so I'm ready to go.
Yep.
Perfect. Well, let's jump right in as we always do, just touching on a couple races that we had over this last weekend here. And as we do often, let's jump right into the Gas Man's favorite series, Lucas Oil Late Models racing at Eastbay. So if you didn't catch the race preview I dropped a race preview late Thursday night, previewing the feature on Friday and Saturday. So I don't know if you guys got a chance to watch the whole program on Friday and Saturday, but we'll just kick it off to you guys. Just initial thoughts. JD got the win on Friday night and Dalton Wilson on Saturday. So any initial thoughts there?
I'm gonna say my initial reactions are the amount of guys that claimed so many spots in the feature. Like you turn around and you had a handful of guys like plus 10, plus 11. Mikey Marler was king for that. But that racetrack was just so racy that you had guys like plus 9, plus 10, plus 11. Like they just had that place so hooked up for those guys to move around and find speed. So obviously absolute phenomenal racing product, but the ability for guys to come from the back was insane.
I won't say this was intentional, but all week, I think Marler was going for that hard charger every night.
Yeah.
What was that? Was that Thursday night that he went like 23rd to second
It was the 7th, so that would have been last Wednesday.
Um,
He went
23rd
from
to 3rd.
he went 23-2 because he got that he passed
got JD.
Davenport there right at the
Yep.
end.
JD said he could hear him coming, so he just left him a lane and he got him right at the line. But no, Kellen, your point, that track was absolutely phenomenal. And to your point, the Chargers, I mean, you were looking at 5 laps, and guys were plus 10. I mean, Ricky Thornton Jr. was getting behind the 8 ball. I think it was Friday and Saturday. He's behind the 8 ball. I think it was Saturday for sure. He started in the 20s, and it was like 4 laps in, and he was first caution comes out, and they're like, Ricky Thornton Jr.'s plus 10. He's up to 10th, and it's like, oh my gosh.
So Saturday he went from 20-8 plus 12. Drake Troutman on Saturday went from 30-9.
Oh my God.
Brandon Bishop went 28-7. Thornton went 25-6, and Winger went 19-5 on Friday.
Well, even to that point, you're adding up those numbers. I mean, we're talking passing 60 cars between a handful of guys in those couple nights of racing.
Second net time, bring him up. Mike Marler, he went 19-7 on Thursday.
That's another plus 12.
So he's gotten 2 hard chargers on the week, basically.
That's a guy that's committed to run Lucas Oil. So,
First,
but that was my initial reaction. Just felt like every time you turn around, which obviously the racing out front was awesome too, but it just felt like every time you turn around, home, he's up 10, he's up 9, he's up 13. It's like what
Another
in
one.
the
I mean, you
hell?
had one every night. If you go back to Tuesday, Devin Moran, 18-5.
Yep.
So you had a hard charger every night.
A hard charger too.
Earned it the hard way, literally.
Yeah. No, but honestly, outside of that, like it is sad to see a place like that close because the racing is just so good, which they go back there one more time, but to know that the Winter Nationals won't be there anymore or may not even be Winter Nationals anymore, that's you could just tell from the raw emotion. And then you throw Dalton Wilson in there winning his first ever feature on the last night of Winter Nationals, like it just felt like the perfect storm of the stars aligning in that fashion. So yeah, it was crazy.
So you had, going off of since last week, you had Hudson O'Neal winning on, let me just make sure I got my dates right here. On Tuesday, you had Huddy winning on Tuesday. You had Tyler Erb winning on Wednesday, and he's come out and said that he really loves that place.
Yep.
We forgot Jimmy Owens also won on Thursday.
they ran the double feature. Yep.
Yep.
Got to remember that one. And then, yeah, JD on Friday and Wilson on Saturday to wrap it up.
I am gonna say, speak of JD, the night he finished second, was that the night he finished second? I think he had an all-time quote. He said he threw his nuts over his shoulder and he put it to the wood and never lifted. To hear that from him was a complete wild card. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, and
Oh my God.
I think I know it's you want to speak to it being early, but some of these guys, I mean, you can tell like it's early, but they're starting to find their footing. I mean, JD was not bad earlier at Golden Isles and wherever they were. Bubba, he struggled. Um, but it felt like, and I granted they're there for, 5 nights. So I'd hope you get your program better, but he was somebody that was pretty consistent. You could just feel he was knocking on the door to
Yep.
get one and finally got it done on Friday night. And then I alluded to it in my race preview. Dalton Wilson being Mr. Consistent. He was running, top 5 most of the week, top 3, was on the podium. And along with Garrett Elberson, old Gary, Kellen's neighbor. And I threw that question out, in my race preview was, do we get a first time winner? Somebody, because they were alluding to it the whole time during the feed. Is this Dalton Wilson's weekend or is this a Garrett Alberson? And sure enough, both of those. don't want to say it was a coming out party for him. But I think definitely those teams are putting themselves on the map that, hey, we might not win, but you're going to be seeing us on the screen a lot.
Yeah,
racing.
they're showing. Yeah, they're showing they've got the iron to compete.
Yep.
So, got to be there before you can win them. That's the thing. It's always like that analogy. You got to be in the situation to get experience. Once you get experience, what'd you learn the first time? Make a move on it the next time, and then that's where those wins come. So, they're there.
Yeah, and kind of a wild night. Bishop, somebody who kind of struggled throughout the week, so that was kind of interesting to see. But then, if he just gets in the show, it's like
Look out.
it doesn't matter where he starts. It's like this guy's going to be there. And I just pulled up the Friday night results: plus 21 to finish seventh. Ricky Thornton Jr. went plus 19. So,
Literally
yeah.
40
And then-
cars between two guys.
Yep. And then you throw in, some of those regional guys, we alluded to it last week. Those regional guys showing that they can compete too. And Kelly, you'll love this shout out. Air Force on Friday night. Ashton Winger puts himself on the map. He goes plus 14, and he was up there mixing it up on Friday and Saturday. He was up front. But yeah, it was overall is bittersweet, but wow, did that track put on some fantastic racing.
Yeah. Even with the sprint cars tonight, the little bit you could see a big, flat, smooth surface that the guys could just move around and try to find speed. So I'm glad they took the holes out of 1 and 2 before the feature. And what was his name? I can't remember. Bouncing through the holes. He said after he got out of the car, because he just slowed in 1 and 2, that he literally hit his head so hard on his headrest it knocked him out for a second.
Is that like Jensen Ford?
Jensen Ford, yeah. That he bounced through the hole and it knocked him out for a second. And you always know when you're watching racing, it's a scary thing is when they say they're checking on the driver and the camera pans away. And they did that, and it's like,
Yep.
never want to see that. So yeah, they just said that he kind of bounced through and he caught his headrest, and they're lucky it just shut the car down rather than some of the alternatives to that entire situation.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, a hell of a feature. Sad to see it go. That place is awesome.
Any other final thoughts on Lucas Oil?
Badass.
Yeah.
It's gonna be an awesome season. That's final thought right there.
Just throwing this out for food for thought. Your top 3 points right now: Thornton, Neal, and Davenport, and they're separated by 30 points.
We're here for it.
Throw that out, food for thought.
So yeah, obviously that was the last Winter Nationals at Eastbay. One of our notes said it should be illegal that tracks like this close. So, and we always allude to it. If you need another reason to support your local tracks and get out there, this is another reason. Because these tracks can't make it go without us. So, sad to see it go. Luckily, though, we are going to go back there one time in mid-October, right before they crown a champion at Eldora. That's the last weekend racing before they go to Eldora and crown a champion. So we'll get one more shot at it to go down there. So no other final thoughts on Lucas Oil?
No.
We'll jump right into the World Outlaw Sprint Cars. They are kicking off what?
World Outlaws or High Limit? Because the High Limit boys showed up.
Yeah.
Don't disrespect them.
I'm not. I'm just saying.
I was doing a double take on the talking points, and I'm like, what is he talking about?
Yeah.
So back to the scheduled segment, World Outlaws at Volusia. And I'll just kick it off just for you guys for first initial thoughts. And clearly Kellen gave his talking point away already, but what were your guys' takeaway for the first couple nights for World Outlaws?
Them guys were racy as always.
Yeah.
I mean, Brad Sweet just dominated night one, led all 25 laps, stole the show. Nobody really came close. Courtney tried, but just wasn't going to happen. So Sweet picking up right where he left off basically last year, stealing the show on. Oh, what the hell day was that? Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Wednesday, yeah.
It's almost like Brad Sweet like said like, hey, I'm gonna go start my own series with Kyle Larson, but he showed up and just want to give a gentle reminder, hey, if I want to come back and show you guys how to do it, I still got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was looking I saw on Twitter they were somebody kind of threw like the first 2 nights. The podiums were it was like 6 and 2 of the top 8 were high limit guys, and the only one on the podium of World Outlaws guy was Gravel.
Yep. So Gravel was the only one on the podium on night one for World of Outlaws, as well as, well, Justin Peck. Is he running high limits?
I believe
I
so.
believe it is.
Yeah,
So yeah, Gravel would have been
the only
2 of
one.
those.
Yeah.
And
So
there was nobody on night 3. So
yeah. But no, I mean obviously still really good racing, but
oh yeah.
yeah, that was something I kind of alluded to in my pre-race or my pre-race preview was just watch all for because it was the first race weekend for high sprint cars in general. So
Yep.
everybody was going to go unload because the high limit doesn't have a race limit for non-sanctioned stuff, so they can go run. And you knew all those guys were going to go down and shake their stuff down. So it was just a really good field of cars, and it was just really racy. Volusia always puts on good races, so yeah, that was crazy.
And I will say to that point, Volusia does put on awesome races. And I'm not a big, shouldn't say I'm not a big, but like, these half-mile tracks, if we're on dirt, I'm not a fan. I mean, I would say, I shouldn't say I'm not a fan, but I don't think it produces the best racing. With one caveat, I will say one thing: if you're racing a late model, don't necessarily like a half mile. But these wing sprint cars, when you put those boys on a half mile, those guys are humming,
Mhm.
and it's good to have sprint car racing just back in general. Because those are fun to watch when those guys get up on the top side and get on the cushion and they get a run going down the back straightaway, and it's like,
Look out.
oh, holy smokes. Hopefully you got your belt strapped tight. But yeah, and then Sheldon Hodenshield gets the win on night 4 of that, which I believe is Saturday night. So that's your first or second. He's run the World Outlaws.
Yep.
Yeah, he's
So
one of the Royal Outlaws.
so that was, I'm sure the World Outlaws crew was happy to have them get a win. So yeah. Any other final thoughts here on the brief touch on World Outlaws at Volusia?
Just glad to have sprint cars back.
Yeah, real quick, David Gravel pretty much dominated night 2 as well. Led 24 of the 25 laps. I thought I saw in there. Yeah, Donnie Schatz went plus 11 and Logan Schuhart went plus 12 in that one. Tyler Courtney, like I said, won night 3 over Riku Abreu and Brad Sweet. Selzy was 4th and Gravel was 5th. Donnie Schatz, again, hard charger, plus 12, going from 18 to 6. And then yeah, Sheldon, Macri, and Sweet were your top 3 there. No real hard chargers on that night as well. So
Sweet.
and
Yeah.
Hodenshield pulled away. He had a 2.5-second lead. Just
Walk the
massive for them
dogs.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sheldon's a guy when he gets it going, he can rip.
Yeah, you can rattle them off too.
There
Yeah.
was a moment, and a guy that I think we could all go for in the World of Outlaws. The old North Pole Nightmare, Bill Baylog. There was a
Yeah.
moment where he was kind of up there, and then he got into some trouble and fell back. I think it was night one, if I remember right. Yeah, he started up fourth and just never really was able to do anything with it. But 'cause I believe
Yeah.
it's his first year doing a full World of Outlaws tour as well. So
Yep.
Yeah, so that was your World Outlaws at Volusia, sprint cars that is. So yeah, as you mentioned, it's good to get those guys back going again. Just adds more screens for us and for you. To have to get more screens out and buy more subscriptions. So next race recap we're gonna hop into was a little bit of switching disciplines, going back on the asphalt. Little asphalt late model racing. We had the old Icebreaker at Florence. And I guess kick it off to you guys. I know there's some big names out there racing, but kick it off to you guys again. Just what were your initial thoughts, storylines that you guys had after that race?
yeah, so Dale Jr. obviously running that one. He's been running that one for the past handful of years, so you could almost say he's a common competitor for that one.
Yeah.
He's been running a lot of late model stocks,
Yeah.
and he said that he loves running those things as well. So, no, otherwise Casey Kelly, he led the early portion of the race. Him and Sam Yarborough were kind of going back and forth with the lead for the first good half of the race. Pretty quiet, just kind of riding around or just getting around the track. Yarborough ended up falling back after those two went to battle. Caution came out late in the race, about 25, 22 to go. And Carson Quaffle just kind of biding his time, just wasn't overpowering anything and burning anything up. Got his caution, started on the inside, and just
Gone.
took off.
Can we get him and Dale Jr. to run different paint schemes, please? They lined up one car from the other, and I looked at it, I'm like, same exact paint scheme. It was a 3 and an 8, and I'm like, guys, we can't tell them apart. Can we go back to the black and orange Bass Pro Shop for one of you, please?
Yep. Or even
Same
Junior
number
gets
font.
that.
Yep.
Yeah. Or even if Junior gets that sun drop scheme going again.
Yeah, that one too. But no, that was good. And that was good to see Dale Jr. up there competing. He wasn't just there to run laps. Like
Yep.
the dude was competitive. I mean, for a while there, he was back in like that 6, 7, 8 range, kind of just battling a little bit. But again, you would expect that with what you would consider a savvy vet,
Yeah.
and a race car driver, that he just found his way to the front late in that race. So that was cool to just see him up there and not just running to run and obviously race everything to win, but being competitive and having a car in him that could do that.
Yeah, for sure. Lap traffic did become a little bit of a factor there in those last two laps. Quaffle got caught up a little bit. Connor Hall almost came in and swept away from him, but Quaffle did a really damn good job, weaving his way through and comes away with the win and started his 2024 campaign off strong. Definitely going to be looking to defend his Cars Tour title. And I think if I remember right, he's running some ARCA races. Wouldn't be surprised if he runs some Xfinity races here and there, but we'll see about that.
He might have a connection for that, I would think.
Might have a connection, correct.
He might know a guy or two.
Yeah. Otherwise, Carson Quaffle, Connor Hall, Casey Kelly, Dale Jr., and Sam Yarborough were top 5 for that race out there in Florence.
Yeah.
So
I just gotta bring it up. Anytime Connor Hall gets brought up, hey, shout out. I know you're still bouncing back from Martinsville.
He's
Jesus.
gonna go to his deathbed with that memory.
Oh, shit.
Man.
My God.
Shout out to him being in the lead lap.
Otherwise,
he's gonna be
go ahead.
solid running with Nelson Motorsports in that 22. They're gonna be
Yeah.
solid.
Yeah,
They
for
got a good
sure.
program. He's going to be somebody that could give Quapple a good run for his money for that championship.
Absolutely. Him, Hoffman, Butterbean.
No,
That's a solid crew as far as guys running that tour this year.
yeah, absolutely.
So, otherwise, obviously, Speed Week still going on at New Smyrna. Um, kind of focusing in more on the super late model side of things and a little bit of modifieds as well. Night one, Gio Ruggiero, Brent Cruz, Jet Nolan, Nick Nagale, and Connor Jones were your top 5 there. Night two, Gus Dean, which is a really emotional win for him, one that he was really appreciative of.
Had a
Brent
rocket.
Cruz, Giro Giro, Austin Nason, and Derek Griffith were your top 5 on night 2, which would have been on Sunday night.
Yep.
And then you had the modifieds running on Saturday night. They were kind of the main event there. Ron Silk picking up right where he left off with the 2023 championship. He goes out and wins that one with Justin Bunsen-Yar, and Doug Colby round out your top 3. So some very familiar names as far as the modified series goes, coming in 1, 2, 3.
Yep. Ron Silk, back-to-back winner of that particular event as well.
Yep, and actually he just won tonight as well. So
He loves that place. Says it's his favorite racetrack.
yep. So otherwise, we also had practice tonight for the ASA Stars Tours race for tomorrow. I also have a race preview out for that on YouTube if you want to listen to that. Practice was interesting to say the least.
Yeah. That was kind of
Trying-
nuts. So
Did they have
actually,
a second practice tonight?
They had 3 practices. They're done for tonight.
Because the only one I looked at was the one from the first one from this morning or early this afternoon, and
Yeah, so you saw that one. They had 3 practice sessions tonight.
here's your.
any big storylines from that?
I was gonna say, here's your. Oh, right away. Here you go. Final practice. Cole Butcher, Majeski, Pollard, Brent Cruz, Ty Fredrickson 5th, Roderick, Tim Watson, Jet Nolan, Jake Finch, Connor Jones, Chase Elliott 11th, Good Goddard, Hind 14, Nasty 15, Rosario 16, Swalich would be 19, Summers 23, Griffith 24, Nason 25, Kraus 27, Craig 28, Albert Francis 29. Going down the Lynch. Caden Quabble, motor change for them.
Yep.
39th, Johnny Sauter 40. That's kind of some of the big names that we talk about that run that. So that was your final practice session of the night for Stars National Tour.
Going into some of the other practices throughout the days, these guys all made in the top 5. Brent Cruz, Casey Roderick, Gio Ruggiero, Cole Butcher, Ty Majeski, Bub Pollard, Ty Fredrickson, Derek Kraus, Stephen Assey, and Tim Watson were all in the top 5 amongst the 3 practices there. One name that's kind of sticking out to me here that could be a little bit of a spoiler is Brent Cruz.
Yeah.
He was top 2 in both nights of super late models. He's been really fast in practice. He could come in and surprise some guys.
How about Ty Fredrickson?
Yeah. Coming
Young
in
gun.
running some hot laps.
Young gun looking quick.
I said it after lacrosse. He just comes in and just runs. He's been figuring it out quick.
That goes back to our gas and brakes episode. I said he'll win a Midwest Tour race.
Yep. And I
Feel
wouldn't
good
be
about that.
surprised. Yep. So as far as the racing goes on the 2 nights, it's been pretty much if you start up front, you're kind of staying up front type of scenario. So definitely keep an eye out for that. That maybe could come into play on Tuesday, even though it is a longer race as well. So no, again, really, really stacked field. Gonna have a lot of good guys. Practice kind of shed a light as far as who to keep an eye out for, and I think we've got our guys to look out for.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I was gonna say I think just overall first couple nights, not a whole lot of movement. Once it gets strung out a little bit, a couple times I feel like your shot is once you get a group of 2 or 3 or 4, it gets strung out for the most part, but then you get guys racing for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. That's your chance to catch somebody and get around them. But for the most part, hasn't been a big mover race.
Yeah.
Our Charger, it's been, plus 2 or 3 here and there. And I think was it Saturday night? One of those racing, we had a little rub in his race, and I think who was it? Was it Jet Nolan and
Yep.
was it Connor
Jet
Jones?
Nolan, Connor Jones, Renfro, I believe.
Somebody was up there and somebody was up there trading paints on their doors.
Yeah, because Nolan got shoved way up the track.
And I believe Connor Jones, I think he had a little post race. He went running across on it, video. He went running across pit road to get up to somebody's window net. So yeah. If you haven't tuned in any of that, obviously tomorrow night's going to be a big show. I think Kellen, you said 20 lock in.
Yep.
So
it's 28 cars, 20 on time, 4 through a last chance, 4 provisionals.
Yep.
So they're gonna send
A lot
24
home.
cars home. Yeah, 22 cars home. Yeah.
a lot of good guys, a lot of good cars. Not going to make the show. Going to be spectating. So, if you're free on a Tuesday night, and again, if you got Flow Racing, we always say it, but this is almost must-watch TV. So,
Yep.
be looking forward to that tomorrow night for sure.
Absolutely.
Any other final thoughts on the late model on the Asphalt?
No, kind of little impromptu off schedule preview
Yeah.
there, but
That's how we roll.
rock solid.
Impromptu.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely tune in if you got the shot. And if you're looking for a quick hitter, tune into our tire changers race preview. I'll give you a couple quick hitters and watch it. But
For the record, today's race has been postponed for high limit. They will race tomorrow.
Oh,
So they will race on the 13th.
get another screen.
yep.
Yeah, and I had Flow up on my TV and I just tuned into the old USAC and it says this event has concluded. So I'm assuming that got rained out as well.
And I believe USAC is the same thing as well. I'm just double checking with them.
Yep.
They will also be racing tomorrow. So we're going to have a lot of racing again on tomorrow.
On a Tuesday night, baby.
Yep. So
Ticket Tuesday.
are you done? Been trying to go to the next segment for the last 10 minutes.
Sorry, my bad.
You
Got to keep the people informed.
All right.
yes,
Anything
I
else?
think I am
Anything
ready to
else
go.
for the people?
Next.
I am ready.
All right, tire changer. Get a thumbs
I'm
up.
ready. Tires have been changed. I'm waiting on you, gas man.
All right. Well, now we're gonna get into the main on-course or the main course for this week's episode. And obviously, the memes have been going around. It's Super Bowl Sunday, which means we're only 1 week away from the Daytona 500. So you can feel the anticipation and the hype just building for the great American race, the Daytona 500. So as we get ready to roll off green for the Daytona 500 in NASCAR season, we thought what better to do than spend some time this week just discussing a lot of things NASCAR. Obviously, a lot of different storylines coming into the year, driver changes, new teams, drivers changing manufacturers, new bodies for manufacturers, and we'll even get into a little bit of hot or cold seat, who's racing for a job and who's safe. So I guess as we always do here, this first segment, I guess let's just kick it off. What are some of your storylines that you guys are looking at? Not only coming into the Daytona 500, but just the season in general. whether that be driver changes to different teams or drivers changing manufacturers. I guess what are some things you guys are looking at as we get into this 2024 race season?
I think initially when I think about the Cup Series now, I mean, you have your older veteran drivers, but I feel like the driver pool is a lot younger. And when you talk about Harvick retiring and Almirola retiring and just potentially being Truex's final year, like from there, it's like you start to look at it, and now it's Nemechek, it's the Spire Camp, it's Hocevar, it's Zane Smith,
Daniel
Josh
Hemrick.
Berry. Yeah, I mean, the list goes on and on. So I feel like we're getting set up for the future here this year with some drivers that are going to be set up to run the Cup Series for a long time. So I think that's kind of how I'm feeling right now. That's like my initial reaction in terms of, yeah, you still got your Denny Hamlin, you still got your Martin Truex for a year, you got your older drivers, but it's setting up for some young guns to have some long tenure careers.
And I think, for somebody who's not, involved in NASCAR or watching, I would say we're in that kind of changing of the guard, so to speak. Kelly, our grandpa,
Yep.
when he stopped watching racing, it was starting to come into some of these younger guys. The Martin Truex at the time were younger. The Kevin Harvicks were
Johnson.
we're coming up. And when he started tailing off and not watching, it was kind of this, this younger youth movement, the Denny Hamlin, the Joey Logano's, they were starting to come up through the ranks. It wasn't the big staple names. And that's kind of what he lost interest was, the Gordon, the Stewart, those guys were on their last hurrah. And he kind of said, I don't know a ton of these guys anymore. Kind of fizzled out. I feel like we're kind of at that inflection point right now where we're looking at a lot of these teams are young, but this is setting up for the next 10 to 15 years of these guys in the Cup Series.
No, 100%. And I mean, you look at champions of years past: Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney. Those are all young guys that are, like you were saying, are going to be around for a long time. You're not seeing that veteran kind of pull that off. I think when you look at it, just thinking off the top of my head, you almost thinking like Kyle Busch is kind of now the Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, the Truex, Hamlin. Like I think those are the tenured guys now.
Yep.
Yep.
And crazy. So you remember when they started.
Yeah.
So
You can count your so to speak tenured guys on almost one hand.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think to that point, what's going to make this season interesting is not that we encourage it, but a lot more mistakes in wrecked race cars. You're going to see a lot of guys that are, John Hunter, Zane Smith, a Hocevar, Josh Berry's got experience, a Gregson who's had half a year under their belt, that something's going to happen. They're going to take out some good cars, and it's going to be a rookie mistake, so to speak.
Keselowski.
Oh, Brad K. Yep.
Keselowski's another guy. Michael McDowell.
Yep. Busher.
Yep.
Getting there. So I think kind of when you look at that youth movement, I think that kind of transitions a little bit into our next topic here of this new body. Well, new bodies, plural.
Yep.
It's
mainly sticking with Ford and Toyota. You're talking.
Yep. That these young guys, where some of the older guys might have a little bit longer time adapting their driving style, where these young guys, a lot of these rookies are hopping in this car for the first time. They don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
And we don't know what to expect from it either, because Chevy didn't change their body.
Yep. So it's you're not entirely tossing out that notebook, but you do have to take everything into account too, as far as what you're going to be able to do with that notebook. Yeah, and those guys that have been running that body for a long time. I mean, it was no secret that Ford had struggles last year. Is that going to help improve their year, make them a lot more competitive? And especially, Stuart Haas was obviously the team that got a good brunt of that. Are they going to be able to turn that around with, again, the new drivers that are coming in, young drivers that are already there? And then Toyota too, they've always been good every year. Are they going to struggle this year as well?
And we really don't know. Obviously, Chevy said, yeah, we're good.
Yep.
I guess Chevy said we have nothing to change apparently. But I think when you look at it, and here's kind of a crazy take. This could flip the script on the Toyota Ford debate, and maybe Ford comes out and says we found something, and Toyota struggles.
Yep.
Maybe we see a Joe Gibbs program struggle to find it early in the season, where maybe Ford finds something, and call me crazy, but some of those Ford programs could turn around and they could fire off and be fast right off the gate.
Yeah.
And we just don't know.
I was going to ask this question. Which team are we going to see that's going to give us a shallow U? That's going to start up here. It's going to go down like this for a while. And then, playoffs, they start trending up. What team do you think is going to start off and they're going to go through that, the Stuart Haas slump that, Stuart Haas went through
For
last
Ford,
year?
Penske, they do it regardless every year.
He's
They
calling
do.
his shot. He's calling his shot on his own boy.
They do. It doesn't matter. It's that the beginning of the year they come out hammering strong. That middle of the season they just kind of get in a slump. Roger Penske kind of kicks some ass a little bit, and they come back when it matters.
I'm going to say in the Toyota camp, I'm going to say it's going to be Gibbs. They always go through a little bit of a slump. They kind of do the same thing, or they win some races early, they're feeling good, and then maybe not all instances they can control, but they struggle a little bit middle of the season, and all of a sudden, come playoff time, who's back winning races again?
Yep.
The Gibbs organization. I mean, look at where they were last year. Denny still isn't going to get a title, but Bell getting in the final four,
And he came on
showed up when he needed
strong.
to. He showed up and he had the iron that said, I'm here for it.
Yep.
Did he sweep the round of 8 qualifying on the pole?
Yep.
Yep.
Sure did. Yeah. That was a shame to see him break at Phoenix.
Oh, absolutely.
I wanted to see those boys duke it out because he was going to have something to say, I think.
Yep.
So
100%.
I guess talking about, you guys have called out, a Ford and a Toyota. And we've kind of alluded to him, Kellen. You touched on him on the report card, but Stuart Haas went with kind of a whole remake of their roster and their drivers, and Ford having a new body this year, and that Stuart Haas camp specifically. I guess, what are your expectations? Now you start reading some reports on what Tony said and what he's spoke to the team and what he's feeling new energy after he gave him the last 2 years have been unacceptable. I guess kind of dialing in on the Stuart Haas camp. What are your guys' thoughts heading into the year?
Kellen, I know you're really in that SHR camp, so I'll let you take the reins on that one.
Yeah, I gave him a B+. There's going to be some growing pains, but I think they're going to figure it out. Actually, they don't have a choice. They have to figure it out because Tony Stewart's obviously publicly made some comments that was blatantly unacceptable the last 2 years. They are going to figure it out. I'm just going to come out and say they're going to figure it out. They're going to win some races.
I mean, I would say one thing, a solid start for him was somebody who I didn't think was going to make it in the clash. Granted, he went a lap down early and wasn't really a factor, but Noah Gragson.
No.
It was a solid start for him to just get in the clash. Obviously, with his thing, he ran a handful of races last year with Legacy and then had to take the second half of the year off. But I thought a strong start for him and for that camp.
You got Barry in there. He's got some cup experience, limited cup experience, but
Yep.
again, I think the changing the body doesn't hurt him as much because he has limited experience. He's familiar in the cockpit so that he'll be comfortable in there. But I mean, I think when you look at the change of the body, I think I would expect him to be somebody. I, I'm going to say I'm expecting him to lead the charge for SHR.
Those first 3 weeks after Atlanta, so Vegas, Phoenix, and Bristol, that's going to be your tone setter
Yep.
for everybody. It's going to be your
Yeah.
tone setter.
Arguably
Then
so.
you go to Circuit Americas, Richmond, and then Martinsville after that. But those first 3 races, you got Vegas, which is your 1.5 miles, Phoenix, which is your championship race, and Bristol, your short track. You're just going to get 3 of them knocked out of the way, and you're going to see who's good and who's not.
And you could shine on one and struggle on the other, but you're going to have to figure it out.
Yep.
That's the beauty of the schedule too, is that you get to go literally all 4 different disciplines of racing right out of the gate to figure out where our baseline's at.
Yep. So no, Vegas will be that really first one that you see everybody see who the contenders and who are the pretenders right early in the year.
Absolutely.
I guess kind of wrapping this conversation up, that follow-up point as we're talking about changing manufacturers, changing bodies. Who do you guys think is going to be throughout the year the best performing manufacturer?
Chevy.
I would have to agree. I think you get more consistency out of Chevy than you do the other camps. Toyota's hurt by their numbers. They don't have the number of teams on the track as compared to Ford and Chevy. But I think also Chevy is more consistent with their runs.
Yeah. I think, and we alluded to this last week or 2 weeks ago. I think when you talk about, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, who are your top 3 organizations for each manufacturer? It's got to be Gibbs, Hendrick, and then from there for the Ford camp, what?
I was just going to say Penske just because they got the championship car.
Yeah, Penske. Okay, so those are your top 3 when you look at
Actually,
those
really your past 2 defending champs in Logano and Blaney.
Yep. So when you look at that, those are your 3, your tier 1 organizations for each manufacturer, and I think consistently it's going to be Hendrick, but I think Gibbs is one of those programs that could just at some point just rattle them off. They could hit something to rattle a bunch off where they might struggle. In those races they struggle, Hendrick will run consistent, but I could see them also getting in there, mixing things up a little bit too. So
You're talking about the Penske camp being strong. Somebody, I mean, you can't sleep on them after they rattled off 3 wins last year, but somebody that I am expecting a strong year from is RFK.
I do too, but I also think they're also hurt in numbers a little bit.
yep.
Correct. But I do think 2-car team.
And I think that is a team that is 100% committed on the team, whether it's Brad Keselowski or Chris Buescher. It's not like a Hendrick camp where you kind of see 2 cars perform and 2 cars don't, or like Penske where it's kind of, again, 2 cars perform, 2 cars don't, if you're including Wood Brothers. This is an all or none situation for those 2 cars.
Yep. 100% agree.
And I don't know. I think that was, obviously we've talked in depth on some of our previous episodes on the struggles they went through since Brad's come over and become an owner. But this is going to be year 3 now. And year 2 was, hey, we're getting things figured out. We want to race. Chris Buescher did it. And somebody who I'm starting to pull for to get a win, and I think he's going to, is Brad K.
Oh, I will jump off my couch as much as I do for Blaney if Keselowski wins. I want him to win so damn bad.
Well, he's one of your old boys, so I get it.
Yes.
And
Exactly.
I just think between, like you said, between the two of them, Busher showed last year, like, hey, they're figuring it out. It took some time, but I think they're definitely trending in the right direction. And that's somebody who I could see winning a decent amount of races.
They're putting Roush Fenway back on the map. And that
Yep.
was exactly what Keselowski's job was to do, coming in, just to put them back on the map.
Build the team the right way, and he's done it.
Yep.
Let's see Brad K get a win this Sunday.
I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised.
He might wreck the field coming through a fork.
I was just gonna say,
He'll do it.
He's got a snowplow on the front of his car when he goes to Daytona.
Yeah, but I tell you what, Busher sure knows how to stay in front of that snowplow.
I know. Those two, they are not afraid to get up there. You know, the old Denny, peel out when things get a little bit hairy.
Yeah.
Those two, when things get hairy, does the pedal go any further to the floor? If so, put her down.
Yep.
But, yeah, that's one team I think is going to be trending in the right direction. They are trending in the right direction, and somebody I can see. Obviously, Busher definitely put them on the map with their wins last year, but hopefully, I could see a 4 or 5 win year for them. If Brad K figures it out and they start hitting on, yeah, I think they will. And
Yep.
Oh.
2 points I want to rattle off here real quick. Championship favorites, looking at some of the sports books. It's basically a 4-way tie between, it's split 4 ways between Byron, Hamlin, Blaney, and Larson. Those are your championship favorites amongst the sports books. But you always get that kind of one surprise guy. No bash on Bell, but I think he was that guy last year, and especially with the Netflix documentary that came out, which that's a good watch if you're interested. Netflix was kind of told that you don't need to worry about Bell, and he comes in and says, well, what a surprise. Nobody looks at me.
Yep. Big time.
So I wouldn't be surprised if he sneaks his way in. Possible contract years for drivers, just kind of going off of J-Ski on this. Obviously we don't know exact contract years, but this is all speculation. But Cindric, Truex, Burton, McDowell, Gillen, and Preece. Truex has obviously got the rumors of him retiring. But those other ones, I think McDowell stays where he's at. I think Gillen stays where he's at. But you got those other 3, Cindric, Burton, and Preece. Some guys that might be kind of on contract years as well. So that
hot
could
seat,
be
hot seat.
So
All 3 of them.
some seats to keep an eye out for.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say the third part of this segment we were gonna talk about was hot or cold seat, and our tire changers always jumping the gun, dropping nuggets. So let's get right into it. Who's racing for their lives and who's sitting pretty? Cal, Cindric, Burton,
Preece.
Yolen's safe. Cindric and Burton, I'd be nervous. I'm Preece, I'm nervous. You got to win a race this year because you don't think somebody's going to go, hey, Cole Custer, you want to come drive a Ford Cup car? Who else is? Riley Herbst. He's getting a lot of Cup starts this year.
Yeah.
He's going to have a handful with Rick Ware. A few handfuls. If he shows up, you could be looking at guys going, all right. And those are both SHR drivers in the Xfinity series. He might be looking at Preece going, hey, man, appreciate it, but what do we got to show for it?
Was that Talladega last year in the playoffs? Which race was Herbst in? Yeah. Herbst was in it right at the end at Talladega last year.
Yeah.
In that 36.
Yeah.
And the way that the way that guys have been hopping around manufacturers lately. I mean, who's to say that somebody from Chevy can't jump ship to go to Ford either?
Well, that's the other thing because you look at it and Chevy seems to have kind of got a little bit, not a backlog, but you've got longer tenured drivers that are fairly stable.
Here's one. Austin Dillon. I know Pops is the team owner.
I still think he's on a hot seat.
Yeah.
Just the performance hasn't been there.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Here's a question for you. Kyle Busch gets his hand in the ownership side. Does that change things a little bit? I think so. Yep.
I think so. Yeah.
I'm going to say Austin Dillon's hot seat.
I do just want to check one thing real quick.
Where was the other name that I had that? Well, I was going to throw a hot seat at you guys. Two of them. Bubba Wallace and Eric Jones.
I think Eric Jones is safe just because he's kind of the anchor for that legacy team. And I don't think you do anything after 1 year with Toyota. So I think he's safe.
I'm going to agree with that mostly. It's kind of feels like a contract year, kind of not. The change in the body is kind of throwing a little bit of a wrinkle in that, and for them changing manufacturers. I'm going to go the other way on Bubba, and Bubba's safe. Bubba ain't on the hot seat.
Looking at both of them, they both signed contract extensions in 22 that were coined both multi-year extensions. And because they never disclosed the years, you don't really know when.
Yeah, I'm going to say Bubba's safe. He's shown he can win enough and lead enough and be upfront enough that he's safe.
Yep.
Jones, it depends on how much legacy really weighs the change in manufacturer and body. Which nobody maybe even has that answer.
Going back to Dylan real quick. 1 top 5, 7 top 10s, average finish at 22.
Not good enough.
Correct. Okay.
But two more out at you. Spin House. Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Boy, I don't know.
I mean, he won the Daytona, but didn't really do anything after that.
Again, if you're looking at extensions here, signed a multi-year extension that begins in 23.
So he's safe for at least this year. He's like a 60-40, 60 hot, 40 cold.
So you're saying it's lukewarm.
It's getting
he can feel the heated seat in the car.
Yeah, it's getting warmer as the season goes on and he doesn't win a race. You following me on that?
Yep.
Basically, I'm going to say it's a contract year for him. He shows up and he runs well. The seat cools off. He struggles. The seat's going to get hotter the longer it goes on.
You got one more name you wanted to throw out. I don't know. I think I'm on that same spectrum with you. I'm on that 60-40 range.
Yeah.
Ready for another one?
Yep.
Daniel Suarez.
No, so again, if we're looking at contract extensions here, he signed a multi-year contract extension with Trackhouse in February 23.
So my follow-up question to that is
hold on, before we get into this, I know you're he's Mr. Analytics and Analysis here, our tire changer. But I think he's leaving out the clause in the contract that says if you don't perform, I have the right to fire you.
Hey, I don't know what the clauses are. I'm just reading what I'm getting with the
Well,
information
hang
I'm
on.
given.
Hang on. Before you get into that, your contract stuff, here's my argument to that. Yep. So it starts in 23. That was 1 year. This is the second year.
Yep.
You have to remember Zane Smith is a track house driver running a Spire car. If Zane Smith shows up this year and he runs well, I think Suarez is kind of in the same boat as Stenhouse. If Zane Smith shows up and outruns him, Suarez might be out. Now, it could be crazy to think that, but you have to remember that Zane Smith is a track house contracted driver.
Correct.
So that's where I think the dilemma comes in there is what does Zane Smith do? Now, there's a lot of change for that young man, and I hope he runs well, but if he does show up in his rookie year, I think Suarez could be very well looking for a job, as they say.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but what's the thought on Trackhouse getting a permanent third car?
That's another story in itself. That would potentially alleviate that.
I'm just throwing that out there. I agree that he's definitely got to be, you got to see some performance this year. I definitely agree in that, but I don't necessarily think this is a hot seat year. I would probably be in that same realm with like Stenhouse, 60-40.
Yep. No, if Zane shows up and outruns them, then we got a bigger problem.
Sure.
Pending the charter situation.
Yep, and that's something that's kind of obviously going to be a background deal this year as well, because that agreement's actually up at the end of this season as well. So if it does get renewed, we go back to the quote unquote the days of old. Plus with the TV revenue contracts and possibly more money coming in, sponsorship being easier. I mean, those are two big discussions coming into the season that is just going to be kind of in the background, and we're not going to hear anything until something breaks.
Yep. I got one for you as I'm scratching my head. You guys have been throwing around. Briscoe, Chase Briscoe.
60-40.
I think I'm more 70-30 on him. Just with how public Stewart's comments have been.
You got that win at Phoenix in 2022.
Rookie year. Yep. I think obviously
I think his seat's hot. He's going to be this is your third year. Start showing something. You are the, so to speak, leader of this team. Like, we've got Gregson, Priest, and Barry. Like, you're the most veteran of this group. Lead this group. It's your third year. Like,
sure. Yep.
come on.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm definitely closer to hot than I am cold for him, for sure.
Like I said, I'm still in that 60-40 range, and just seeing like all these contract extensions. Like I feel like a lot of them guys are safe, especially this year, maybe even next year.
This is true. We don't know what the contracts are.
Correct. So,
Can all change in a hurry.
yeah, correct. And like going back to that Stuart Haas thing too, who's to say that's crew chiefs getting swapped or management getting swapped? I mean, he said that some big changes were going to happen. Doesn't necessarily need to be just drivers either.
Correct.
So
Behind the scenes.
Yep, exactly. So, I had one other thing I wanted to touch on real quick, but I'll let Cam, since you're the host, I'm gonna let you steer in direction. I don't need to be jumping topics again.
Got any other hot and cold seats?
Nothing that come to mind for me.
No.
Somebody we didn't mention, I'll just say is, I'll say they're, I'd say they're lukewarm as Bowman and Elliott. I know they got contract extensions. I know Hendrick is, I feel like the safest of all, but it's like after last year, the Bowman and Elliott, and I know the racing related non-NASCAR injuries, whatever, and for Bowman and then Elliott. Even when they came back, they didn't run great.
Exactly. And that's why
Elliott is safe. NASCAR's most popular driver ain't gonna lose his job.
yeah, but I also want to win races.
No, he's selling a lot of t-shirts, I'm just gonna tell you. That's my opinion.
No, fair enough.
You want to win, you want to sell $25 t-shirts, you want to win a $7 million race.
That's for Hendrick to figure out.
For the record, he does have a contract through 27. It has been publicly stated that he has a contract through 27. Elliott does.
Yeah, he's safe.
Just to throw that out there.
Yeah, he's good.
Any
Hendrick's
other?
pumped.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we're good. Hell yeah.
Well, if there's no other hot or cold seats. We'll have to pan back to this maybe 9 or 10 races into the year and do a little heat check and see where the seats are at and if anybody's on their hind ends getting a little bit warmer or getting a blanket because they're cooling off. So we'll have to pan back to this episode. Maybe you're on the Coke 600.
That's a good time to do that. Yeah.
Check back in, do a little check in, gauge where the teams are at, the manufacturers are performing, drivers that have helped themselves out, drivers that have hurt themselves, or their stock, and go from there. So with that, we're going to jump into our next segment, which is, I know we're bamboozling all the followers here who typically, if you didn't tune in last week, we started dropping race previews. Sorry. Just those 2-minute quick hitters. Here are some things we're looking at, some storylines going into the race, where they're racing, and just some expectations. So if you haven't given those a follow or given those a listen and a like, be sure to do that. We're having a lot of fun with those. Just quick hitters, fun to make, doing our own thing, with the same goal and same premise, but doing our side job of being a content creator. So if you haven't checked out any race previews, give those a quick listen. Those are fun. Give you some storylines, 2 minutes, and you'll be up to speed on a race preview coming up. So we're going to jump into, I know we touched on it, but the World Series of Asphalt Part 2. Or you want to skip right to the big dog?
No, I was just gonna say again, they race on Tuesday night, ASA Stars National Tour. Like I was saying before too, we got our race preview out for that. Talked a little bit about that as well. But we still do have World Series Asphalt afterwards. So you're gonna still see a lot of guys running that afterwards. I was gonna see if I could maybe find point standings for that real quick if they're available. But no, just keep an eye out for that. They still race throughout Saturday for that. So I do have points actually. Giro Ruggiero, Brent Cruz are currently tied for first, Gus Dean in third, Jet Nolan fourth, and Austin Nason is tied for fifth with Connor Jones. And they're pretty much right now kind of the 5 guys that are in the running for it. So keep an eye out for that, especially after this race, because like I said, it is a tri-sanctioned race. So that's pretty much all I got for that.
Yeah. And Tire Change dropped a good race preview on that earlier. So if you didn't get a chance, go to the channel, look at it. Again, 2-minute quick hitter. And then the old Jackman was up grinding this weekend, and he put out a race preview on high limits. So again, obviously their first night got rained out, but he put out a good race preview on that yesterday. So you
For
know,
sure.
you
Lots
chime
of
in on that?
so lots of point regulars. Stacked field tonight. Obviously rained out. Makes tomorrow even that much more interesting. So Eastbay puts on hell of a show. So make sure we tune into that. Catch that on Flow. You got Larson, Sweet, Parker Price Miller. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So yeah, we're right there. Getting ready for high limit to get going.
And for the record, High Limit does not interfere with World of Outlaws, so they'll have everybody there still probably.
Yep.
Yeah. So be on the lookout again for those later in the week. I know we got a couple other race previews here we're gonna shoot out this week. Again, the goal is pit crew, find a race we're interested in, try to broaden the racing spectrum and horizon, find a race that we're a topic we don't always cover in depth on the podcast, and just be able to learn something new about a different series and give you guys a little quick hitter, some extra content, and yeah, just have some fun with it. So lastly, got the big kahuna, and we're going to give it the respect it deserves, and we're going to spend probably the next 5 or 10 minutes here chatting on the great American race, the Daytona 500.
I'm ready.
So,
Go
what
time.
thoughts do we have?
Someone's locking themselves into the playoffs.
Yep.
First race of 2024. Damn, I am pumped. I'm excited. I'm fired up. Can't wait to hear the famous 4 words. Drivers, start your engines. Jeez. I'm jacked for fantasy. This weekend's just going to be.
God, that shit starts already.
Fired up to get back in the saddle for the NASCAR season. But I guess, as you guys think here, any big storylines or anything that you guys are going to be keen on watching, coming up this weekend?
Well, so obviously qualifying's on Friday. So for those that do not celebrate Valentine's Day, you've got a perfect excuse to not celebrate by watching qualifying for the Daytona 500 front row. Then you got the duels on Thursday. So that's where you're going to really kind of see who works out good, who doesn't. Hopefully we don't have those type of duels going on. Friday, you got trucks racing, and you got just trucks on Friday. You have Xfinity and ARCA on Saturday, racing that. One thing that I'm looking out for, and I know I mentioned it before, and you're probably gonna give me some slack for this again.
Well,
But
Blaney win.
Nope, not even focusing on Sunday. I'm focusing on Saturday. SVG.
Oh,
First
Yep.
super speedway experience. He's going to be running ARCA. I believe he's running Xfinity as well, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, yes, he's running the whole season for calling.
Oh yeah, that's right. Duh. So that's going to be one thing that I'm looking out for this weekend, is just how he performs there.
Yeah, I got my doubts on that, but I could be wrong.
If he brings the car home, I think that'll be a win. Honestly.
Correct. Good luck with that at that place.
I'm going to go out on a limb here. And so what I'm going to be looking for, which happens every year, is the big one. When does it happen? I just want to get a temp check on the race. See what everybody's feeling, because you're gonna get the fair share of guys that their strategy is, hey, we don't get caught up in the big one if we're running up front.
Bullshit. That's happened last year. Blaney wrecked in the lead on the top at the top of the lane.
Yeah.
So
But
you're not safe.
that's driver error.
No, it wasn't. Want to put that on the record.
You get the fair share of drivers that said, hey, I am not running back in that hornet's nest.
Yeah,
I'm
run
putting
run
my-
back with the run back with the squirrels, get your nuts cracked.
Yep. Yep.
You got that fair share of drivers that said, I'm, the peeling out and running in the back. I'm not doing that. So you get that third of the field that's, hey, it's front, get to the front no matter what. You get that third of the field that says, hey, just ride around, whatever. And then you get that third of the field that says, hey, the Denny Hamlins, hey, if anything gets dicey or feels hairy, get out and ride around in the back. So I want to get a temp check on that early in the race, but I'm going to say we're going to get a winner that nobody expects.
Is
That's
this a
what
hint
Daytona.
At your race pick here?
I'm not releasing the race pick yet, but
No, we're gonna get a repeat Daytona 500 winner.
I'm not saying we're not going to get a repeat, but I'm going to say it's not going to be a Joey
Oh.
Logano, a Denny Hamlin. It's not going to be some of the bigger names.
Oh, okay. All right.
I think we'll get a new 500 winner. But I don't think it's going to be anybody that we're surprised by either.
New.
I think we're going to be surprised.
Nope.
I think we're going to get a spin house year 2 in a row. Not Ricky winning it, but we're going to get somebody
A
like
type of driver.
a type of driver, a Ty Gibbs.
Get out of here. All right. Well, let's just pick them. You're spitting them already. Let's
You
just
want to
do
pick
this.
now? You want to do
Yeah,
it?
let's do this. We're talking about it.
Okay.
He's listing names going, I'm not going to pick them, but he's telling guys that are going to win the race. Like, what are we doing here?
So, for the record, we're going to give picks here. We're getting 2 picks.
Big race calls for big picks.
Big race calls for big picks and the big wreck, and so we're going to give ourselves a little bit of grace here. And
You're up.
Because your driver didn't even make it into the class, you get to go first.
Oh,
Dude didn't make the feature.
well, I'm going to come out right away. Guns a-blazing. We talked about his seat being a little bit warm. The Chevy camp's going to be strong. Give me the 48 of Alex Bowman.
Damn.
Okay.
All right. I'm not, I don't mind that. Bowman's always qualified good if he could stay up front.
Yep.
Yep. Kellen, you've got your name highlighted on here, but you got to tell her, ooh,
Hamlin, baby.
Whoa.
gonna add another ring on the.
Yep. The aggressor is going to be aggressive. He's got that shoulder fixed again. If you haven't watched the docuseries yet, go watch it. Shoulders are fixed up. He's ready to rip. I'm taking Denny Hamlin.
Quick question for you. Did you become a Denny fan after watching the docuseries or what?
I did.
Mm,
I moved from not liking him.
No, his actions on the track don't change my opinion on him.
And I don't know if you
But-
guys saw his actions detrimental last week. Did you see he officially retired? Hey, I beat your favorite driver.
I saw that.
Well, that's too bad, but I'll take Denny Hamlin.
His dad called and told him it's too cocky.
Yeah,
there.
you probably shouldn't do that.
So you retired it.
Van
So
Gogh.
you're leaving the low hanging fruit for me.
Which is who?
I'm gonna obviously take
William
the
Byron.
obvious favorite here in Blaney. But so that's gonna be my first pick. So we're doing the snake style as well. So I also get the next pick.
Yep.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
take
yep.
Keselowski.
Oh, Okay.
I think he's going to knock that win out right at the beginning of the year.
That was my pick. Damn it.
I'm going to wait to see your other two picks. I had a third one in mind just in case, but I'm going to
Denny.
hold it until you two pick. So, Kellen, you're back up.
Yeah. Man.
Do you guys remember who was in the lead with 2 to go last year?
No, but this is gonna kill me because I gotta take Spinhouse. He's gonna go. He loves these restrictor
He's
plates.
good at restrictor plays,
He's
100%.
always been good. I'm gonna take Ricky Stenhouse. No, back to back is absolutely one of the hardest things on earth, but I'm gonna take him, and that's who
Hey,
I'm gonna
you
take.
the last one to do that, you took in Denny Hamlin.
Yup.
So Cam circles back to you. Who is your pick?
Hedging my bet, Eric Jones.
Damn.
Wow, for a Toyota camp that doesn't have many cars.
Wow.
Jesus.
So
He runs decent at restrictor plate races.
so the guy that I had third on my list, he was
Yep.
winning, he was in the lead with 2 to go, and he came out and said, if this would have been 1998, I would have won this race. Kyle Busch.
Yep.
He was third on my list.
He always finds himself in trouble. That's why I didn't take him. For some reason, whether it's his fault or not, he always finds the middle of it.
Sure.
And then he gets that post race interview that's just typical Bush fashion. That's stupid, smashed up car, not my fault, just dumb racing. Then he walks away.
Yep. Oh, so keep track of those picks as we go through the Great American Race.
And if you want to join us on these picks, fantasy is open on NASCAR Fantasy Live. It is free to join for those that are interested. Join our league. We opened it up this year. Did a lot of trash talking last year, and like I said, we're opening it up this year. We are the Three Stones Pit Crew Fantasy. That is the name. I have also put it out on the socials for those that are looking for it. Yeah, keep an eye out for that. Join us, make some picks. See how you compete up against us Three Stones. It probably won't take much.
No, absolutely.
Before we wrap this up, definitely join the fantasy league. But going back to our picks, I just want to know the logic. What do you feel, Kellen? Why are you picking Spinhouse and Hamlin?
Denny's always good for a good strategy there when he peels out and lets him wreck. He's got a good temperament for that. And Cam Stenhouse he's up front restrictor plates all the time. We've talked about this for years. He's a restrictor plate guy. So Chevy didn't change the body, so he knows exactly what he's up to.
Tire changer?
I mean, I took Blaney because I think he's one of the better super speedway drivers. And I took Keselowski's because I think he's also one of the better super speedway drivers. And I think he's the next one in line to win the 500.
You doubled down on the Ford camp there.
I did. I think the Fords are great on the super speedways. I don't think the body change matters on super speedways. It doesn't. It all comes down to that powerhouse, and the powerhouse didn't change.
And I guess my my rationale is the Showman Bowman. He's always got a rocket for qualifying. Starts up front. So he's gonna get up front. He'll lead laps. He'll be there. Chevys are quick. And then I hedge a bet. Eric Jones, he's shown flashes of it. Runs decent at restrictor plate races, and I don't know why. Guts feeling. Just Eric Jones.
Not a bad pick.
I was
Be a way
gonna,
to start the year off.
I mean,
We're locked in now. Don't you go changing your
no,
your
I'm not
pick
locking
now.
anything in. The only thing I'm locking in is those two picks, and one of my two picks is gonna lock themselves into the playoffs. So,
All right.
um, I forgot to ask this question before we were talking about, just driver changes, hot seat, whatever. I was gonna ask, and I feel like it's a pretty clear-cut answer, but you're looking at rookies of Zane Smith, Hocevar, and Josh Berry, or so to speak, rookies this year. Does anybody give Josh Berry a run for rookie of the year? Does Hocevar and Smith give Josh Berry a run for his money in rookie of the year?
I'm gonna say no. It's gonna be Barry Smith and then Hocevar. That's my tier. But I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say it's gonna be Barry.
I think so as well, just because I just feel like that Spire camp isn't fully prepared to run that competitively yet.
Correct. Yep.
All right. Well, any final thoughts?
I'm just ready. Sunday.
Oh, this is let's go.
Showtime.
Yep.
Enough talking. Let's get on the track.
Yep. Elbows up. Yeah. So another fun episode. As we always do, touching a little bit dirt. Your local, not local, but guess regional tour, or national tour with ASA. And then all the way up to talking NASCAR, expectations, hot seats, cold seats, and the Great American Race, the Daytona 500. So, it's been a dang good episode. As you can tell, we are all absolutely fired up for just kicking the race season off. There's nothing better than the build on Sunday afternoon, waking up on Sunday and the pre-race festivities and all that, the cars lined up on pit road and everything. Awesome watch. So, yeah, be sure racing starts Friday night at Daytona with the Truck Series. Saturday, you got the Xfinity and ARCA race, and then Sunday,
Great American Race.
Sunday afternoon, grab your favorite beverage, whatever that may be, sit down on the couch, and don't move until the checkered flag drops. It's going to be can't miss TV. So, as always, drop the video, channel a like, throw us your comments, your race picks, who you think's going to win the old Daytona 500. Give us some comments. Turn your bell on. Obviously, we're starting to put out more content as we get up to speed. Be on the lookout for some more race previews throughout the week. We're going to continue to just drop those on some different series and some quick hitters. So, without further ado, we're going to burn it down at the Daytona 500. We'll see you guys next week.